All right, things are looking pretty good from this perspective right here. Bitcoin managed to top out exactly where we were expecting at that critical $70,000 price level. And since then, we have slid just a little bit lower, pardon me, down to our areas of support around here at 69K. If we actually take a look at what this level represents, we can drop a horizontal line. I'm going to drop it right around over here at 69.5 because this level has a lot of confluence. This is where we were topping out originally when we first rallied up to this price level, and this is actually Bitcoin's all-time high from the previous market. This is going to vary depending on which exchange you're looking at, but here on Coinbase it's about $500 lower. On different exchanges it's going to be a little bit higher, but 69.5 is generally kind of where people agree. 69,420 is generally where people agree that Bitcoin topped out. And so it begs the question now, are we going to continue to rise up? And I think that right now we've got a phenomenal setup to produce exactly that in this market. We're going to see the S&P 500 open in about 3 hours, and if I can, I will be back with you guys for that. So make sure that you are smashing those likes up and staying subscribed to this YouTube channel, because I think this is going to be very important for the market. So far, we have seen a lot of bullish action for the S&P 500, and I think that's the primary reason that Bitcoin has been performing well. We've also seen Ethereum shoot up. It has gone up to a critical zone of resistance here, and it's doing very well against Bitcoin. So again, that's something huge I want to cover with you. I'm going to get to that in just a few moments in this video. Of course, as usual, ladies and gents, if you want to trade on the platform that I'm using, feel free to check out the link to Bybit, links right here, where you can get up to 30K in free trading capital when you start trading using my link, and any profits you generate with that money is yours to keep. There's also a link to 2bit here, which is completely no KYC, where you're going to get up to $9,000 in cash bonuses, which is sick. Again, free for you to trade with, and you can withdraw the profits. Now, let's come back to the chart here and talk a little bit more about this. And there are some really interesting things happening with this particular price range. I want you to keep this level in mind right here. I'm going to go onto a slightly different chart. We're going to take a look at, we'll look at the Bybit chart, I think, just because I think it might be a little bit more reliable for this. And what I want to do is, now that we've started to kind of punch in a high, I want to start talking to you about, if we can start rallying to the upside here, because if we do, I think we could be looking quite easily at rising up into those mid-70s and breaking the all-time high. But now that we're in a bit of a pullback, this actually puts us in a very, very interesting position, because you can start to see, well, where is the price going to be bouncing up from? And so one of the first things I want to do is actually draw a fib off this low up to the high that we set. And remember that level that we were just looking at right here at 69.7, 69.5. Again, this is going to vary based off the exchange that you're using, and very minor differences, but we're basically talking about the same price level. That is exactly where our 382 Fibonacci is. So that's a really, really good sign. We've also got our 618 Fibonacci coming in over here in the $68,000 price area, which is absolutely fantastic as a potential support range. And that's just with this one Fibonacci. I think that we can also quite reasonably extend this down to this low over here. And now we've got a very, very good 382 level down at the 67.5 level. I'm going to drop another horizontal line there because I want you guys to be paying attention to that price level with this chart right here. And the final place that I would want to draw a Fibonacci from is from the absolute low that we set. And I think this is the best Fibonacci that you could look at in terms of validating the trend. And unfortunately, with this best Fibonacci, we don't actually have a level that I love here for the 382. However, our 618 box is really clean. And so I think for a worst case scenario, I always like to outline these when I'm looking at the bull cases. I think for a worst case scenario, I would love to see Bitcoin come down here. This would actually be a best case scenario because it means that we're retracing down by very, very healthy amounts. Obviously, this has been quite a spectacular rally, and it's also been quite a quick one, right? Within 10 days, we're up by 20%, which is definitely very high for Bitcoin here, especially in this market. And so to see, a 13%, 14% drop after a 20% rise would definitely be painful, but it would also retrace 61.8% of this entire rally. And obviously that is typically how the markets tend to reset themselves. We'd come back down to the absolute low. Like I said, I don't know if that's actually going to happen at this stage. And the key reason that I don't know if that's going to happen is because if we look at what this range is really giving us now, from the 52k range up to here with our VPVR, we have a phenomenally strong zone of support right here, represented by all of these volume spikes on this chart right here. So again, I think this is best illustrated with a box, and by sheer coincidence, we are back exactly where we were on this YouTube channel just a few days ago with our analysis before all of this big move even happened. And that again is showing you just how beautifully all of this technical analysis is kind of tying together and building confluence from many different angles, right? These are the kind of things that it's kind of like math, right? Like if you're solving a math problem and you have the right answer, you can get to that answer using any methodology you like, right? As long as the methodology is valid, doesn't matter how weird it is, doesn't matter how long-winded it is. If the methodology works, you can only arrive at the same correct answer. That's the beauty of math, right? Exceptions apply. You're not a genius for pointing it out. But when you're doing a more kind of soft, subject, there can be many different answers. With trading, fortunately, it's a little bit more objective in that only one thing is going to work, right? You're only, you have to be right about the price action. And that's why I really like these kind of things, because ultimately, like, I can't get 100% certainty on anything, and I accept that and I'm okay with that. But what I want to do is I want to move as close to that as possible. And one of the best ways to validate what I'm doing to show me that I'm actually moving toward that is when I am starting to seeing that different styles of analysis coming at us from different angles all point to the same price level, and that is the $67,000 price area right here. So if we do look at that being a potential retracement zone, that would mean a 7% drop for Bitcoin, which is very, very reasonable. From this high down to this low here, we saw an 8% drop. Super reasonable for that to happen here. And I would love to see that. And because of how strong this VPVR support is, I don't expect that Bitcoin is going to drop below this level. I think that if Bitcoin does drop below this level, even though we do have great support here, this would be a very good place to start getting bearish, in my opinion. Basically, anywhere below $66,000, I would be very happy to start entertaining bearish ideas again. That doesn't mean I'd be going short. I haven't taken any shorts in this market, and I'm very happy about that. But it does mean that I'd be interested in at least considering it. And I would also look at how things like the altcoin market are going, right? Because we've seen a very, very big drop for Bitcoin's dominance here. It's actually not that big at all. I don't know why I'm exaggerating it. We went from 56 down to 54.5. So we lost 1.5% Bitcoin dominance here, but it did happen very quickly. And if we take a look at total 3, you're also going to start to see what the what the crypto market cap looks like without Bitcoin and without Ethereum. You can see a very successful support bounce coming off the 618 golden pocket here that we've been talking about on the channel for a little bit. We're now up at the 0.5 Fibonacci level. This is a phenomenal chart to do analysis on because it shows us what the market looks like in terms of strength or weakness, excluding the majors. And I think that it's fair to say that we're probably up against a little bit of resistance again right now. We can actually try and visualize that and see if the VPVR shows us something similar. And yeah, we do have a spike right here on the fixed range volume profile. So we've actually obviously already broken out of the key zone that could be problematic for this market here for the altcoins. This big spike here was definitely the biggest challenge, and that was basically where we were trading sideways before. So we're now above that, which is fantastic. We could use that as support, but in terms of resistance, we are up against some resistance right now. It's not the biggest resistance, and obviously you don't even need this tool to visualize it. We already saw this just by eyeballing it. This is where a lot of the bounces came off. This is where some resistance was found. We had some more bounces. We had a big rejection here, which led to a big disaster for the altcoin market. Lost half of its value within a month and a half. In fact, it lost most of that. It lost 42% of its value within a week, right? So just absolutely abominable, just horrible stuff there coming off this price level. So very clearly an important one, and it's all just the same range, right? I mean, you could just as easily drag this line slightly higher and you're still talking about exactly the same price level. So definitely an interesting zone, something that's worth keeping an eye out for. I think that if Bitcoin can manage to gather some support around these kind of price levels, it's going to find itself in a really good place, and it's probably going to drag altcoins with it just by the looks of the of what things are doing now. However, I do think that if Bitcoin starts to get anything close to kind of parabolic, we're going to start to see very interesting, very fun things start to happen across the altcoin market, because I don't think that the altcoins are going to be interesting anymore, and I think we're going to continue to see Bitcoin's dominance rise. This is a very long-term type of prediction that I've been making with you guys on this channel. I've literally been saying it since the bottom because I'm just good at being correct, and it's something that I'm going to keep on holding on to until I feel ready to flip that bias. There are always times where, you know, markets rally against what I'm saying, and sometimes it lasts a long time. This was 54 days, right? Sometimes it's a little bit sharper, but it's a little bit quicker, right? So it varies, and that's just part of the market, and you need to understand that. If you struggle with that, then you shouldn't be here. But what this also means is that when I'm finally ready to switch my bias to be bullish on alts, you know, I do feel like it's going to be at that. And by the way, I could be wrong, right? I could be premature, I could be late. You know, you're gonna have your own opinion, and I'm gonna have mine, and that's great. You know, but for me, what's very exciting is that when I do feel ready about all of this, I will be able to start taking some risk in the altcoin market again, because I've been pretty much all in on Bitcoin for years, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, Bitcoin's dominance was at lows over here. This is the place where you'd buy it, and you'd hold it until Bitcoin's dominance starts dropping again. So, you know, these kind of things, like I said, they take a long time, but it's also where the most money can be made, and that's, again, something very interesting to me. Of course, those of you who are subscribed, you're going to continue to see what my thoughts are on that subject there. But let's come back to the Bitcoin chart again, because to me, this is a very, very interesting chart that we have been talking about in this video so far, just coming off this level at the 69k area, or some of our support here. You know, I think ultimately this would be a potential floor for Bitcoin, and then if we do start to kind of zoom in on what might happen if Bitcoin moves up, let's take a look at what that is looking like, and then we'll take a look at a couple support resistance indicators as well. So just looking at this chart right here, you know, we're pretty much in a very illiquid price zone, so prices do tend to move up pretty quickly or move down pretty quickly. So hopefully we get a resolution out of this range pretty quick. The last time we were here, it lasted 6 days, nearly 7. Over here, it lasted, bear with me, over here it lasted about 5 days, and here we weren't really in the range, but it lasted about 4, right? So I don't think that we're going to be here by the end of this week. You know, based off what I'm seeing here, I don't think that this is necessarily going to get much slower. So that's definitely something which is cool. You know, and if we do start to break above this range, the only price history Bitcoin has ever produced above this green box right here is this one wick up here, which topped out at 72.7, which is just a completely random level. And this bit of price action here, which actually also topped out at 72.7, and then the all-time high itself at 74. They're all completely random levels. They're all baseless as far as I'm concerned. These are the easy types of all-time highs that markets can break. So I think it's definitely in one of those positions now where it could pull that off. And there's a couple different angles you can look at this from, right? Like, I'm all about just very, very basic horizontal support resistance lines and boxes and stuff like that, because that's actually what works the best in these markets. But there are other ways to look at this, and, you know, one of the other ways is with more kind of diagonal levels, and we're well on our way to this target that I showed you guys at $76,000, which is the height of this descending triangle, using that to extrapolate a price target for Bitcoin's upside. But you can do more than that. You can actually even look at Bitcoin as part of a parallel channel that it's managed to break out of now, you know, which is, again, super, super bullish, showing that generally speaking, with some deviations, we have seen Bitcoin trend downwards, punching in lower highs and lower lows, but now getting a very convincing breakout, albeit with no back test. So, you know, maybe that's interesting to you as well. You know, and that's just, you know, that's just one other way that you could look at this, right? There's other ways you could probably draw, you know, things like wedges, you know, which are sort of similar but shorter term. In this case, we did get the breakout, and we did get two very, very nice back tests, right? So, you know, there's a couple different perspectives that you could take here, and I think they're actually very valid. I think that the bottom line is the way things are looking right now, Bitcoin is still poised to be in a very good position to rise up. I still fully believe that it's going to depend on what happens with traditional finance. So again, that open for the S&P 500 in about 3 hours is going to be absolutely huge. You might even see it, you know, when that move actually happens. So, you know, that's going to be interesting. And like I said, if there is something big, I'm going to be right back here with you guys. Maybe with a live stream, definitely with another video or so, you know, whatever it is that's necessary. So definitely make sure you are subscribed. The dollar has climbed up a little bit, so if that's anything to go off, maybe that would imply a little bit of downside for the S&P 500. and then, you know, therefore a little bit more downside for Bitcoin. But again, we're not worried about that because, you know, the only thing it has now is to fall into really, really nice zones of support, which we actually, you know, we're welcoming with open arms, right? These are going to be really, really nice price levels to see Bitcoin drop down into. Again, just to take another look at this main Fibonacci from our absolute low to the high that we've just punched in here, our 382 level coming in right at the very, very bottom of it. By the way, we can actually draw this fib a little bit further back and up to the actual all-time high and just look at it from that perspective as well. I think this is also, you know, a good candidate for the most powerful Fibonacci on this chart, if there is such a thing. And again, you know, it's lining up with the 67.2K area. So, you know, it really doesn't matter how you slice it. Our support areas are really bunching up in this kind of range. And that's, you know, as a result of that, that's where I'd love to see some support. If there's a little bit more downside, that's where I want to see the market start to bounce. I actually think it's a really, really good place for the market. Definitely an area that I'm interested in going long on myself. I'm not quite sure if I would do it yet. If I had the free capital that these exchanges were giving, then, yeah, maybe I would. But definitely check them out. If you are interested, like I said, Bybit's giving you up to 30K in free trading capital. That's when you start trading using my link to Bybit. Any profits you generate are yours to keep. And 2bit is doing the same thing, but they are completely no KYC. So no pictures of yourself, no pictures of your passport, all that good stuff. And you will get up to $9,200 in bonuses as well. Again, same deal right there. You've got to start trading to get it, but that is super, super cool. If you want to work one-to-one with me, then reach out to me using this link on screen right here. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching. Cheers. Bye.